So maybe you're in the middle of your presentation and somebody starts leaning forward, and you need to make a mental note of that. It could mean that they really like that point, so you want to spend more time talking about that. If they lean forward but their arms are crossed, if there's some form of tightness or that is a sign of aggression. That's the opposite. They don't like what you're saying.
They're angry.
Yeah, and so then you need to step back and figure out what's going on and what what went wrong with that.
The most important thing to remember about the leaning forward stuff is watch their body language, and if they're just hanging out and all of a sudden they go like this when you start talking about marketing, or perhaps you start talking about professional photography or whatever, you want to start to add and embellish and land with that particular, whatever you're saying to them, there's an unconscious, I'm interested in that, so you really need to lean into whatever part of the presentation you're involved in.
And again, what you're looking for is a change in posture.
Yeah.
Anytime you're seeing a change, take note of that because something's going on with them.
Sitting erect.
All right.
I'm sitting erect.
Could mean you're on camera and you're trying to have good posture for the camera.
Could be.
But it might mean that you came from money. There's you have a status. There's a title involved, but it could be a sign that the immediate conversation is important. Again, watch for the change. If Dennis was not sitting erect, if he was slouched, and all of a sudden he sits upright, that's another sign that he's interested in what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if somebody sits like this all the time, something's going on, and they have an opinion. They feel that they're self-important. And they may very well be, but
maybe they just have good posture.
Yeah, maybe they have just, I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I think it's something to be aware of.
Often,
typically, this is someone who's very self-aware and somewhat self-impressed.
Right, and you're right. It's a difference between good posture and somebody who just is extremely upright.
Upright,
yeah.
Yeah, that is that kind of rigidity is a sign.
Yeah. Okay. The next one we're going to talk about for a minute is the arms crossed. So, Dennis, why don't you do
Well,
a
this
couple
is important because
demonstrations.
this is always misinterpreted and people always take the short course on it. This means nothing, okay? That's important. Okay?
That's low and relaxed.
That's just, I'm here hanging out.
Or
okay?
I'm cold. I'm
or
cold.
I'm home.
I sit like that when I'm cold.
When you're cold,
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't pay it a lot of... Now, if they're sitting there like this and you get this shift, that's somebody who didn't like what they heard, okay? Or that's an unconscious reflex, and sometimes it comes like this. But arms crossed high on the chest is not a good sign. Something got sideways.
Yeah, a sudden movement like that. Now, you can use that to your advantage as well. If there's a sticking point and maybe they're kind of being a little aggressive with you, you can cross your arms to create a sign that I'm not budging. This is where I'm at, and it's a little less threatening than verbalizing your objections, but it's a way of communicating. Hey,
some of this stuff doesn't sound that important. I tell you, if you're in the middle, somebody's in the middle of going off on you, and you just do one of these, you'll look at them, and it's like watching a balloon just get a pin stuck in it. All of a sudden, they start to calm down, and it's quite remarkable. So don't blow this stuff off out of hand if you think, well, that's not going to work, because it does.
All right. The next thing is what people do with their hands. If there's a lot of tapping, drumming. It might just be unconscious, just a little nervous habit. If it kind of is going on the whole time, don't just ignore it. If you're 20 minutes in and somebody's kind of like looking around and tapping, you're boring them, and you need to speed it up, do something different.
Watch their breathing, okay?
Oh,
If they,
that's-
watch their breathing, especially if they start in swaying, if they start doing this, this is like, hurry up, okay? That kind of rhythmic thing for most people, okay?
All right.
So if it's going good, slow down. If it's going bad, speed up a little bit, move on to other points.